Hello and welcome to Informed. I'm Randy Taylor. Thank you so much for joining us once again today. This show is focused on just that, to bring you experts to inform you on a wide range of topics from health to business, politics, relationships, and a lot more. Today's show focuses on something that we all need, but sadly not everyone takes the time to make certain that they have a plan to meet their goals. We spend an extraordinary amount of our lives earning money, and for over 70% of Canadians, almost no time to plan for retirement. For this 70% every day, they delay the process of creating a viable plan, and another day is lost in the process where the clock ticks on for everyone. Today on Informed, the road to wealth begins at the starting line. We're so fortunate to be joined by a guest who has made this his life's work, financial advisor Brandon Rohr. Brandon, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, Randy.
Off the top now, this statistic that obviously I've pulled from the news, 70% of Canadians not taking time to plan for their retirement. It's the reason we're doing this show and the reason that my producers reached out and found you. Is this something that you're seeing in your day-to-day work?
Yeah, we see a few different scenarios, right? We see people who are planning and not really saving. So we see also people who are saving and not really having a plan at all. And the minority of people are doing both. They're saving and they have a plan. And those are the people who at the end of the day, obviously, are the most successful financially.
Yeah, this enemy of procrastination, I think in all areas of life is something that touches us all. And it just feels like, well, I'll get to that Friday, right? And then there's another Friday and another Friday and another Friday. And before you know it, decades have ticked by, and that time is important. But listen, before we get to talking about solutions and what people can do if they haven't started yet, I've always been fascinated all the years that I've been doing this as a broadcaster to find out the guests that I have on my show, why, right? What led you into this field? There's almost always a story. So was there for you?
Yeah, of course. For a long time, I wasn't really sure where my future was going to take me. But I ended up, I always tell people that this career didn't find me. I went looking for it. And I kind of screwed that part up. Can we try that again?
Yeah, just pick up your answer.
Yeah, okay, I will. Yeah, so there is a story. For a long time, I didn't know what I wanted to do or where my future was taking me, but I always tell people that this career found me. I didn't really go looking for it. And the reason is my training kind of started when I was 14, 15 years old. My aunt, she would call me every Saturday morning. She was a successful advisor in Ottawa, and we would go over basic financial concepts. We'd go over, net income statements and income and expense planning and budgeting and all the basics. And I didn't really realize at the time how much I was enjoying it. I went on to study peak performance and psychology and helped athletes in the mental side of the game. And it's something that I still really enjoy. But I kept having conversations about money. I kept talking to my aunt. I kept talking to other advisors that were in the industry. And they kept saying, Brandon, you can help people in this area. You've got a passion for it. And eventually it brought me back. So that's kind of how it all came around.
I'm sitting and imagining, this 14-year-old boy having this, this tremendous conversation with an aunt who is a financial advisor and is so ingrained in it. You must have been wildly smart or such a geek. I
don't think I realized at the time that I was a geek. So
it was just, yeah. I mean, it's so interesting when you find something that you're passionate about, that you're interested in. She must have been thrilled that you eventually ended up choosing this as your career.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure she is. So it all started with her. That's for sure.
Amazing. So the topic of this show, the road to wealth begins at the starting line. For those people who feel like that they haven't really started yet and they don't have a viable plan, tell them.
Yeah, well, the best time to start is today, right? Like the best time to plant a tree was yesterday, and the next best time is today. So there are a few reasons that we don't normally see people getting started with their finances. Number one is they just feel overwhelmed by finances, and a large people are in that category. Number two, they don't think that they have enough money, or they also don't think that they maybe they don't think that they understand it or think that it's going to be a problem. And I can show them that just by showing them the numbers of financial design and financial planning. But if they don't think that they have enough money, all you need to know is the story of Theodore Johnson. You can look up the story. He was a UPS driver in the United States. He never in his career made more than $14,000 a year. And with some careful planning and his role model telling him and encouraging him to save 20% of his income, he ended up retiring with $71 million as a nest egg.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I know. It's an
Wow.
incredible story. So
That really is fascinating. And so what I'm hearing from you is that, in sitting down and, going to that starting line and having this initial conversation, then the confidence begins to come from that. Is that right?
yeah, no question, right? The confidence definitely comes from just getting started somewhere, right? And we start to design a customized plan, which I think we'll talk about a little bit later, probably. And that's where they start for sure.
Yeah, it was so interesting. And when we decided to do this show, and I think this is such an important show to do, and producers reached out to you and I spoke to you on the phone, you talked about a very, very unique approach to, this whole world of financial planning, which everyone thinks, is all about numbers and spreadsheets, but you called it, I think, experience first planning.
That's right.
Can you explain what that means?
Yeah, so experience first planning, we want to make sure that our clients in retirement are having the experiences that they want to experience, right? Yeah, we're going to talk about the charts and the money and the asset allocation and all that kind of stuff. But really, at the end of the day, if you're not having the experiences that you thought you would have in retirement, then you're probably not going to be too satisfied, right? So there are two questions that we generally ask people when we're talking about experience versus planning. The first one is, what experiences are you having right now that you want to continue to have in retirement? And that's an important question because it gets people starting to think about the standard of living that they want to have. The second question is, what are you not doing right now that you want to be doing in retirement as far as an experience goes? And that gets people excited because it gets them thinking about dreams and goals and things that they haven't accomplished yet, and that those things are still possible down the road. We just need to plan for it. So that's what experience first planning is. It's making sure that you get those experiences that you want to have. And we often find, Randy, that clients who are emotionally tied to their goals because they know why they want to have them, the experiences, they know where they want to have them, they know what, they know how, they know all those answers. Those are the people who are the most successful because they're emotionally engaged. And then sacrificing a budget or something if they need to becomes a little bit easier because they understand that, okay, I'm sacrificing now for my future self. And so that's really what it comes down to.
When we had that conversation on the phone, I thought it was so brilliant. I went and, my wife and I had the conversation just about that. So let's talk about experiences, because it normally is all about numbers and the numbers have to work. Yeah. But it just seemed like a game changer that you really sit down with people and find out, what's the movie of your life and what's it supposed to look like. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, it is, because money isn't everything, right? But at the end of the day, if you don't have the money to achieve the experiences that you want to have, then it becomes a lot harder.
Something else that's been in the news of late, especially with the millions of baby boomers heading into retirement, something called range anxiety. Very much like, what we heard when electric cars first came out. Consumers had that anxiety about running out of a charge while on a trip and there wasn't a charge station. In retirement, the fuel is money. You told me that, factoring in inflation is a really critical step in this plan. Can you explain that?
It is. Inflation is a hot topic right now. It's just come out recently that we're seeing 3% inflation in Canada, and typically we see an average of 2%. So I've done the calculation on this example. If you're 30 years old, just for example, and let's say in retirement, you want to retire at 65 and you want $50,000 a year, just factoring in inflation alone, 2% average per year, your $50,000 today is you need $100,000 by the time you're 65 to have the same amount of buying power as $50,000 today, right? So that's just inflation. That's not including anything else that can go wrong or that can go right. And it's a big factor. So getting to range anxiety, we want to plan and we want to make sure that people, their electrical light or their gas light isn't coming on when they're 20 miles from home, so to speak. We want to make sure that their money lasts as long as they do, right? And so inflation is a big part of that. Sometimes people think that, they're 60 or 65, they're not going to experience a lot of inflation. But if you live for another 30 years and people are living longer every day, inflation can be a big part of that as well. So we want to make sure that you're not having anxiety in retirement, right? That the light's not coming on for you, and life happens, obviously, but we'll put in contingencies to make sure that when those unexpected things happen, that we have a plan to handle those as well.
That seems to make so much sense to me, because I think, and, I think we all think in terms of today. How much money will you need to retire? $2 million. Okay, well, fine. I know, but, in 30 years, what's $2 million going to be? Going to be worth? And that's, I think a hard reality, and good of you to bring that up, that people really need to look at that and consider that when putting the plan together. Something else that you talked about to me that I found really fascinating was the difference between a customized plan and a personalized plan. What do you mean by that?
A personalized plan is a lot what it sounds like, right? It's talking about the individual's salary, their income, their asset allocation, how much they need for retirement, all those different kinds of things. But a customized plan is going to go a little bit deeper. A plan is different for everybody, right? We all have different needs and wants. But a customized plan is going to look at all those things that are surrounding the individual, right? I often ask my clients, is there someone at the CRA that you're so fond of that you want to give a third of your estate to rather than funding your own family? Because we see that happening a lot, right? Where the people end up in their estate giving more money to the government than they did to their own family. And of course, we want to pay our fair share in taxes, but we don't want to pay any more than that. So a customized plan is going to look at all those things that surround the individual and not just the individual himself. So then no matter really what happens in life, we've got a plan to handle it, at least financially.
This has been, we could talk on for hours about this. This has been really fascinating. I'm certain that our viewers are going to get some great, framework information for looking forward to their own financial plan, and a lot of consideration. I can't thank you enough for the time that you spent with us today. A question that I ask all of my guests, and please, there's no obligation to do this, but if people had questions or wanted to connect with you, can we share your contact information?
Yeah, you absolutely can. They can reach out anytime.
All right. Again, appreciate your time very much. Look forward to potentially having you on for a future show. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
All right, financial advisor Brandon Rohr. I'm Randy Taylor, and on behalf of everyone here at Informed, thank you so much for joining us here today. Join us for future shows. Until that time, have an amazing day and be well.